I want
Yeah.
to get one of those things you have in the back. That's a TV with you put the fireplace on it. And
It's a fireplace. It's just not like it's a heater. It's a
oh yeah,
heater that looks like a fireplace.
how does your computer screen show up on there? Was it just a reflection?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, how trippy is that? How trippy is that? Wow. Well, I don't even know what's going on today.
A lot. We're on the cusp of the equinox and we're in the full moon energies on top of
Oh,
everything
that's right.
else.
That's right.
I'm not sure what's going on with the sun, but I know there was like major solar activity happening
Yeah.
recently, so we're getting it from all fronts.
Well, yeah, like okay, so the what's today? Today,
The 18th.
the full. This is still technically full moon day, then I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, that solar storm fireplace on
Oops,
it. It
sorry.
hit that solar storm hit or took off like Thursday, hit Sunday or something like that. But I don't know what happened last night because man, I've slept so much the last 3 days. And I woke up
Yeah.
today. I got stuff coming out of my eyes, literally,
Oh my
just
goodness.
junk. My nose, my ears. Uh, I don't know. Oh God, I don't even know. I feel like I've just been beat to a pulp. So I don't know. You look like you're coming through it just fine. You look great. What's going on with you? What Kool-Aid are you drinking?
I've been in it just like you. I just actually happened to shower today, so
I've been saying that for like 5 days. I kid you not. And I don't mind
yeah.
admitting this to everybody, but
No, it's been
I haven't. I told Morgan yesterday I'm going to take a bath. I haven't taken a bath in years. The last time I took a bath, I was in
oh my
Hawaii and I
goodness.
was sick, and she gave me a bath and she put the pictures all over the internet. But she did. They're out there.
That's awesome.
Even with my man boobs. Go figure that. I
Oh.
was a little heavier then, so maybe I look a little better now. But yeah, it's been a wild ride. So I don't know what happened last night, but I don't even know. I just remember this intensity in the lucid dreams, the intensity of the last 3 or 4 days. But it's there's this I was going to say overwhelming, but it's insight. So interwhelming bliss, and everything is great, and don't worry. You don't need to worry about nothing. Everything's fine. And then I go to bed, and I've been feeling for the last few days that somebody's inside of me doing stuff. Like I could feel like a cold instrument in my head the other night,
Yeah.
like almost like a super cosmic scalpel that just went in. I could feel the
Wow.
metal, and I'm like, what the hell is that? So I don't know. I really don't know anything other than that I'm alive. You know, very basic stuff. I've got some great friends around the world. I got a great
Hmm.
woman on the other side of the world. I'm not, I look at all this stuff going on and I'm like, yeah, I can't make heads or tails of it.
Well, it doesn't match externally what we're feeling or what we're our truth internally. The external isn't really matching the internal, but it definitely is matching the dark night of the soul that we've all kind of gone through over the last, I don't know, I can't put a number on it, but 10 years or so. Like there's a lag time between where we're at, and I'm just speaking generally for the people that generally resonate with this content, but like where we feel that we're at and where the rest of the world is at. Like there's a little bit of a lag time in that experience. And a big message that's been coming lately is like when you are kind of a pioneer, when you're a pioneering person or a pioneering soul or even a pioneering inventor, your ideas that you're forging in and that you're moving in that are progressive, that aren't widely accepted yet. Like when you're in that position or you've taken that position on, it can be lonely. It can be a lonely place. It can be an exciting place, but not everything is necessarily going to reflect what you're doing,
Yeah,
right?
true.
Not yet.
Yeah, it's
So we're
true.
like, okay, I'm doing this and this energy's great. And then you look out a little bit and you're like, whoa, what's going on? This doesn't match at all.
I know. And then people transitioning, and just a big shout out to Lisa over in Stavanger. Damon
Mm,
Damon transitioned a few days ago, and they've been a big part of this movement, and they
wow.
still are. You know, Lisa, my heart
Yeah.
goes out to you. Uh, healing, peace, love, and comfort to you. But yeah,
Absolutely.
it's something like that. You know, I mean, and by the way, Lisa, 2 days ago, I think it was the day after I found out about Damon. Franco and Damon both came to me, and I didn't ask. They both came to me, and I don't remember really what was going down. I don't have any recollection like I normally do. I just I just don't have it. You know, I feel like something's happening during the sleep that's massive. You know, like
Yeah.
massive to the body. I guess is the way I'd see it. But God, you know, I had to cancel yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, if you hadn't been on this morning, I would have canceled. But it was you. I'm like, okay, I'll be all right.
I had a feeling. I was like, I'm not sure if it's gonna go down, but it did. So it's all good. And I had a feeling coming into this, like we're just gonna chill. Like we're
Yeah,
just gonna come and chill. Like if we can have conversation that makes sense, that's a
yeah,
success. Because
yeah.
it's so big, and like what we're going through feels so massive, and it can feel really discombobulating, right?
Exactly.
Like it's just, and it's not just one thing, right? That we can put our finger on. It really feels like we're dealing with so many multiple streams of energy on like so many different layers of feeling and awareness that it's like to stay present with that, or to try and explain it, to try to get the mind involved with it, like
Mm,
it can really just pull you into a million different places.
yeah, no doubt.
But like you were saying that you felt that you were getting work done in your head. Was it yesterday that you felt that, or the day before?
Yes, yesterday.
Because I was walking around yesterday feeling like I had like a hot laser of energy coming out my third eye. Like it just like felt like this flaming fire pulsating out of my head, and I was like, "All right, that's
Yeah,
okay."
yeah, yeah. It's and then finding for me, okay, so like finding stuff to do that brings my frequency, to where I guess it feels
Mm,
good. I've
mm-hmm.
been doing I've been like doing these sessions, right? I have not released any of this, and I don't even know where I'm going with it. And that's the crazy
Okay.
thing. I used to make the music videos, and I really enjoyed that, but that was 5 years ago. 6 years
Mm-hmm.
ago, 6 years ago now. Jesus Christ. Okay, so I had this. Well, I've been doing that stuff with
Yeah,
Ty.
yeah.
Ty says Ty gets on. We got some new software. Like let's play a little bit. So then he plays this music, and then I just try to talk over it. So I started doing it on my own, not really knowing why, and I knew it had something to do with the voice, the
Mm.
throat chakra, kind of like becoming one with the music. So I write all. I'm like you. I write all the time. So and I'm like, okay. So I turn the music on. I start doing my thing, and finally, I just dropped the damn phone. I said, "Fuck it." I'm just gonna make it up as I go, and I did.
Ooh.
And I've been doing this. I've probably done it about 7 or 8 times, and I don't know what's going on here, but I think there's something going on with throat chakra for people and for
Mm.
sound healing, vibration, frequencies, and even light. There's something going on. I don't know what it is, but I've always understood it because when I was given Soulogy a year after I was given the name, I was given this other thing about music. And I don't think it's about music. I think it's about harmonization, embodiment of harmonization in our own way, without anything holding us back. So I
Yes.
think we're going to see more people sharing this type of stuff, and I think that's what I understand. You know how when the higher self tells you got to go do something,
Yeah.
and you're like, I don't want to do that. Like I don't want
Yeah.
to go on with Ty
Yeah, there's
and
an you're
rehearse.
arguing.
Yeah, but I see that whatever this is, and it's not about me. I'm to put out whatever I'm doing so other people will see, or like the door opens and then they do it. Something about expression. I don't know. I don't even know what I just said, actually.
You do know, and like I can already see where this is kind of going.
Okay, Nia.
Yeah. It's just so much. Like, okay. Music is a language, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Music is a language in and of itself. And something that I've been working with lately is like really um, clearing and allowing my heart to, and I call it hearticulation, like articulating, but hearticulation,
articulation.
right? You're articulating from your heart. You're letting your heart speak.
I
Essentially,
like
you're
it.
letting your soul speak, right? It is
Yes,
soul speak.
yes,
So you're letting your soul sing. You're now letting your soul sing. Like you're letting this heart technology, the articulation, architecture come
yeah,
through you, right?
yeah,
And do its thing. And that in and of itself reaches and touches, like it's not an invasive language. It doesn't come with its definitions and its baggage. It's like a pure energy. And then people that are experiencing that as a craft or a
yeah,
creation or an expression, it can touch them and take them somewhere that's relevant to them, right? And have that transformation within them.
yeah.
So we're all being encouraged to get into creation. Like we see the catastrophes going on, and then we're like, what can we do about it? And spirit's like, create, get
Right.
creative, go create something. And you're like, how is that going to help? But it's like trust, like go and
It
create.
is.
In the darkest of times, the
Yeah.
poets come. The
Yes.
musicians come and they write the songs and they write
Yeah.
the poems that say the things that people can't and won't say. And it's like a gateway into allowing us to alleviate like the traumas and the pressures and bring us up into another level. And when you say it's not about me, it's funny because I know what you mean. But then as you were saying that, I was hearing like, yes, it is though, because you're an extension of the greater me. The
Yeah.
great, like I've been playing with the word me lately. Something that a lot of people get hung up on that Jesus said. They're like, yeah, but he said, no one shall come to the Father except through me. And I've been like really pulled into like, but what is me? Go
Yeah.
deeper into what me is. Does he mean me as Jesus, the one person man that lived here as this? Or what is me? Go deeper into what me is. So
Yeah.
now when anyone is saying like me, I'm like going into the little me that they are, into the greater me
Yeah.
that they are,
Yeah.
or the I am, or the us that I call the universal soul.
The us. The
There
you,
is
me.
yeah, the
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. The you, me, we, and it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And interesting. I was talking to Kimberly a few
Hmm.
days ago, and so it was. I think it was on the September the 12th. About 8 or 10 days before Frank and I did our last show, right? And so we had this private Zoom meeting, me and Franco. We did that every now and then. We would just sit and talk. And about 5 minutes into it, we both went, "Hey, why don't we record this?" And so I've got this hour and a half conversation. It's not like a Soul Speak 5D. It's just actually a conversation between Franco and
Yes.
I. And I watched a little bit of it. I thought, do I put this out? What do I do with this? So I'm going to put it out. But there was something about watching. I watched a lot of it, but I mean, like watching. And again, it's not about being Franco. It's about what you're talking about, because there was something about watching it that I could see that was so much different than doing a show.
Mm.
It was a conversation taken deeper, and the human was fully present. But there's something about what
Beautiful.
you're saying, or what we were talking about earlier, which is when we put something out that's closer to our purity, that's courageous in the sense that, oh my God, what are people going to think? Todd singing or whatever the case is. There's something about the intention, the heartification,
Articulation.
articulation. Yeah, I can't wait to get pulled over by a cop and say, you have to have a reasonable doubt and articulation that I'm committed a crime." But
Yes.
yeah, there's something about putting it out there, and I really think that's what it is. Because one person, it might be, Todd, rapping over some music. Another person, it might be something else. These are the things that I think will make a difference. And it could be anything. It could be helping somebody on the corner. It could be a lot of things, but it's just this pure intention, I guess, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Something
Yeah.
like that. I have no idea what I just said. Yeah.
Yeah, that pure intention is just like that undefined energy that will go where it's needed to in the body without you having to force it or direct it or
Yeah.
to, it's just that innate intelligence that um, when we bypass like all of the hangups of the, I guess you would call it like the egoic matrix.
Yeah.
There's like another matrix that we can access, and it's through the heart axis. And this other like system that we have that Franco was teaching us about. And like,
Yeah.
oh man, like never than ever have I been aware more than ever of this, the dichotomy between these systems.
Yeah.
Like it literally feels like we're in two worlds right now. The two worlds, these two energies, these like they're representing two such like opposite things, and you're like, where do I fit in here? How do I bridge them together? Like I'm in you're yeah, we're walking in two worlds right now.
Yeah.
And now I'm hearing the word cacophony. Like it's sad, like it's and they're banging together, trying to find the harmony. And so when we're just creating from that pure place, we're helping. We're helping make the bridges. We're helping be the bridges of these conflicting, seemingly conflicting forces. Um, I was watching something from you the other day, and you were saying like things that come together. I think it was you, like oil and vinegar. Like you didn't say oil and water. You're like oil and vinegar. Like when things just don't come together, and that's kind of where in this strange place right now.
Yeah.
Almost feels like parts of our reality structure. This isn't a weird analogy, but like we're the children and our parents are getting a divorce and they're fighting over us. And we're like in the middle and we're like, but I love you both. And and it's like they both righteously feel like they know better. You
Right.
could even say that one of the parents is like really love and light and the other parents is like really, contrary to that. And they both really do feel like they know better. One is like, this is realistic. The other one's like, whatever, right? Those are the energy, and it feels like this tug of war within us as part of this creation, as the children of this creation,
Yeah.
as what's going to be the future. Like, what are we going to do with these two energies that we're both, right? We're
Right.
not one or the other. We're both of them. That's the thing. It's like when my mother speaks bad about my father, I feel bad because he's part of me. That sort of thing. Part of the energy of our reality right now feels like that dysfunctionality, but we're the children of that, and we're actually going to be the solution to that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we have to choose. We're in the center creating another choice. It's not either or. We're like this other choice point that's happening in us right now.
Yeah.
And our tools and our methods aren't going to look the same as either parent, because
Right.
we're this harmony.
Yeah. I think a lot of
Yeah, sorry, go.
No, I was going to say, I think a lot of people can relate to that because most people come from a split, what they call a broken home. Well, a lot of people can, yeah.
Different cultures that maybe don't get along, different spiritual orientations on either side. Like there are so many like drastically opposing energies and perspectives right now that seem like they want to stake their claim in us as the permission slip holders, like, because we're the ones that are voting and going like, yes, okay, we'll participate in this reality. Here's our energy to generate and create with it. We're the worker bees. We're the sustainers of it. We're the game players. So like it feels like there's this, yeah. That brings me back to the pioneering thing. Like in that we're pioneers. And there's been this I made a video and I'm kind of repeating some of the things that I'm saying in the video that I just made yesterday, but it's like staking our claim in this reality. Like it feels like the wild, wild west right now.
Yeah.
Something about it feels like the wild, wild west. It feels
Yeah.
like there's this energy of lawlessness.
Yeah.
Even though we're seeing laws being inflicted on people, there's an
Yeah.
energy of lawlessness in there. Like people are just like there's an energy that's just like making it up as it's going, which reminds me of parenting. It reminds me of the because I said so.
Right.
So I'm like, I feel like I'm in this 2-year timeout. You know, like there's this energy of this like unfit parenting energy that you're like, you guys are both wrong. I'm gonna, I'm gonna find my own way through this,
Yeah.
which is, kind of tough love, kind of a challenging, we're given really challenging materials right now. And, the energy of Franco would be like, use it, put the pedal to the metal and like, don't let it like use
Yeah.
everything as an opportunity to fly. You're being catalyzed right now. You're being challenged right now. Rise to the challenge.
Yeah. I like what you said because I've never had this thought before, but because I always try to think about
Yes.
what's the MO? How are we operating, Todd? How are you operating? Like, because everything comes during the day, and then you're faced with a choice. 0 point. Oh, there's a shadow, or let me try to align with some music and do something. But I like what you said because really, and I could be wrong, but really, for me today, if I'm standing in any place on anything, there's two things to consider. There's always two things here. So if I go, I'm this, then I'm not that, then I'm perpetuating what we're trying to bridge, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so whether it's Ukraine, whether it's COVID, whether it's, your parents getting a divorce, whatever it is, there's two sides for me to take in. And so this is one of the things, and I'd like to see what your thoughts are. But so like we've always had these thoughts, right? And they've had different degrees of conviction within us, or whatever you want to call it. And that is, hey, I'm not from here. Like I'm a soul, or I'm from Arcturus, or whatever it is that we've got a little inkling of. And so I've had this thing for the last, I don't know, maybe month, and I'm able to go, I'll just be sitting around. I'll be like, I'm an old soul. I'm from all over the place. I'm in a human body. I can do this, like almost like you're in the game as the video player, and then you pop in, I guess the higher self pops into the avatar, and you're actually in the game, and like, oh wow, this could be cool. But at the same time, as we know, the human has to be equally there. We can't be bypassing the human. We can't be out of our body too much. So like this thing that you're talking about, this pulling two sides together, which is what this whole thing seems to be about, at least in this realm, in this incarnation, a challenge of extreme polarities, bringing them to a central point and being that. And so that's kind of where I'm at. Like, yes, I have all this history, but I'm also a human, and I've been Todd and probably other humans. And I'm trying to like bring it all together, be that, and just see what happens. And that's about as far as I've gotten. But it has brought me, uh, balance through what's primarily for me been very extreme physical ramifications, as opposed to some people are having emotional, spiritual, mental. Mine's a lot of physical. And that's been, I've been having to wiggle my toes, Bruce. That's exactly. Just to make sure I'm feeling everything. Yeah, but that's
So I'm just like, as you're speaking, um, I kept seeing like fork, like almost like the snake tongue, but then also a branch, but then also the nervous system, and then also the
yeah,
rivers. Like there's always forking and branching out into all of these. And then so I was just kind of feeling from the center of myself, like the center, that saying, it's like you are the ocean in a drop,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I'm the ocean in a drop. I'm the drop of the ocean, but then I'm also the ocean in a drop at the same time.
yeah,
So in my little drop that is the ocean, I'm seeing that as my center point from where I branch out from, and where the streams of me or the rivers of me or the branches, divisions of me come out, the layers of me come out, my personalities. And then, you can almost draw your own family tree, or like the tree of you, where each branch is branching out into things that you like. And that can go into even your star lineages, that can go into your ancestry. And you can recognize just how many components are from your own one singular tree,
Right.
right? And then you know that you're a forest. You're a forest of trees on this planet. And they all have just as many forks as you. They all have just as many divisions as you, degrees as you, right? Which makes
Yeah.
me feel like we're getting our master's degree. And it's like, in what? It feels like we've got our fingers and our hands in so many things, which is like we're mastering being a part of all in this
Yeah.
one, you know, access point that we are. And can we hold that? And how much of that can we hold in the oneness, and hold it together without being pulled apart? The
Yeah.
tree is like balanced. It's not like, well, some trees aren't, because they've got one branch that came out this way and it grew, and that's going to be eventually what snaps them. So that's like, we want to balance all of the different degrees of separation that we are, or you could say like just, um, the hues, or the degrees of contrast. That's, we're a color, we're our own color wheel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as each one of us, um, I love saying that, each one of us, because
That's,
I wrote my little thing, I write my own little words that ping me whenever I say them, and they wake me up. They're like little jolts.
yeah.
So I literally wrote a program for myself of what all these words mean. Because
Really?
me and my friend Carrie, we always play with words, because words create worlds. They do. Our whole
Yes.
world is made of words and energy and agreements and definitions. So we play with them. And I noticed there's some of us that do that. I believe Franco did a little bit. I know Martin McNichol does. And I see there's those of us that just have the inclination to do that and spread words apart and play with them. Um, I kind of lost where I was going with that. I'm not sure if you can help me come back.
I don't know.
Wrote me back in.
Well, I remember running into this lady, and this had been like 2014, like when things were starting to really take off. And I talked to her for a few days, just platonically. It was interesting because I met her through a friend, and she started educating me on what you're saying.
Yes.
She started telling me and showing me how, when you look at, and I love words and I love etymology, so it was a pretty easy thing for
Yeah.
me. But so, like, she would show me how there was code in everything, right?
Everything.
And specific for her, her specialty was the words, breaking down words themselves, and it taught me a lot. And I still notice this. I'll still look at something and go, "Oh, wait, this means da," and it's pretty expansive. It was for me back then,
Yeah.
not so much now, but yeah. And the thing you said too about, God, you were talking about the words in your programming, uh, and I was just thinking, oh, I know what it was. What you were making me remember. So I watched that Mateus De Stefano initiation. I think it was season 4, like episode 8, or I may be wrong about that. But in one of the episodes, that he talks about the different dimensions,
Mm.
and he just explains what they're all like. It's not like a really big deal, beyond anything I'd seen. But what he did say was, I think it was in either the 8th or ninth dimension, that when you're in that dimension, you're like in this prism, and you're in a spectrum, a prism, and so you have all the angles, and each angle is a color or whatever, like you're talking about. And what we're able to do in, or what I think where you have to be in order to be there and to sustain yourself in that vibration, is you have to be able, or you have already um, lived from every perspective, or at least put yourself in every perspective's shoes. And I
Yes.
think that's what we're doing
Ping,
here.
ping, ping.
Yeah, I think that's what we're doing here. I mean, like last night, I got pulled into some research. I started watching the Ukraine thing. I thought, I I don't know a lot about that part of Eastern Europe. I want to see what's
Mm.
happening. So I looked at a little history of Putin, and I'm watching all this history, the Chechen wars. There was another war. The way he came up, I remember that all in the 90s, Boris Yeltsin, Gorbachev, and all that. But just looking at the story, but behind the story, in the footage of all this stuff that they were talking about, were the people. Food lines,
Thank you.
devastated buildings,
Yeah.
homeless children. I mean, tens of now. So it sounds pretty gory and all that, but I kept going. That's not where we're going. Like, this is not where we're going. You can't tell me that. I don't know how many of there are us, but I do know the power of energy and how many people are fed up, how many people are tired, get me out of here, how many people are saying, no, this isn't going to work. And I
Hmm.
think it starts first, obviously, here. But that energy, to me, like you said earlier, we've already gotten to the certain point of progress, and yet the world's not matching it. And I have a feeling that we're going to see this very soon, if we haven't already. Um, but
Wow.
it just seems like the proverbial top of the pyramid is not in tune with the masses, basically.
No, no. There's a massive restructuring going on, and as you're saying what you're saying, I was getting like a ping of something I heard Amanda Lawrence say a long time ago, about these people who are like on the cusp of going to another frequency, and they literally stopped and turned around. I'm getting goosebumps, and to go back to help. They
Oh yeah,
saw they saw the need, and they were like, I'm going to put on pause where I'm about to go. I'm literally right about to see everything that I've ever been working for in this next step. If I take the step, no, I'm turning back around. Like, that was just like, didn't even take that much time. It was just decided.
yeah,
So a lot of people just turned back around and literally jumped right back towards humanity to assist and pull and be part of this uh, human bridge, I guess, or like
yeah.
soul, bridge of souls.
I know I did.
Yeah, well, me too.
I know I did.
Me too. Threw
Well,
myself right
but
in,
that's
and
a
that's
good point
fine.
too. It's a good point too, because I always whenever I came into this thing 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I one of the things that I knew in myself was I'm not leaving until the last lost, struggling, straggling soul comes on home.
Hmm.
And I've talked to other people, and some people say I don't believe that. I don't believe everybody's going. And then I start to immerse myself in, the wheat and the chaff and the great divide and heaven and hell and all that.
Yep.
But I actually feel that that if oneness is oneness, then if one goes, we all go. If no one goes, no one goes. Like everybody, we're one. So now, does that mean
Exactly.
that we reach that point of unification in this incarnation? I don't know, but for me, I've got to include everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody has to be included. Everything has to be included. And I know I'm weird, but I spend time. I mean, normally every day. There'll be a time during the day where I'll, excuse me, where I'll take on the most beautiful light being I can, and then take on the darkest, ugliest, smelliest, ogreish
Hmm.
thing, and I'll bring them together and
Together.
see them. And it's taken a long time, like I'd say 6 years, uh, to to actually get to that point where I can actually do that very quickly for myself. And it's just a little exercise. It's
Hmm.
not. It's just an exercise, just a way to bring my frequency into, let's say, a more stable 0 point field. Because my
Hmm.
my whole thing now is I want to teleport. I want to have sacred sex with Morgan. Excuse me, but this is the way it goes. I feel like I'm in a prison and caged. Sometimes I see her and I'm like, I hope you know, I'm not disrespecting you, but A, B, C. No, I'm kidding. But what I'm trying to say is where I'm sending most of my stuff is how do I function? How do I function? Because I know I've heard it too many times. I know I'm here to be a human and to enjoy myself. Franco, in this conversation that we had, he says this.
Yeah.
And he says it from a point of experience because while I've known him for these 2+ years, I watched him go more and more and more into his human, like we're all doing. But my point is, how do we function? How do I function? That's what I'm interested. I'm interested in when I'm in a conscious awake state, because I can't do anything about when I'm not. Uh, am I projecting a harmonious frequency and not fluffy love and light, but just like a real frequency? And am I open to see that which I'm trying to be as well? And I just try to stay on that because that seems to be the biggest part of my consciousness is as a human.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you want as a human? Who do you want to be with? What do you want
Yeah.
to?
That's the deepest work for me. That's like the deepest, most realist, most relevant work for me. And like when you were saying you're bringing this like higher energy and darker energy or whatever words you want to use, you're bringing polarities together. You know, and obviously Morgan is like masterful at working with those energies and writing them down, and she's written a program to help people, integrate those energies within themselves and within all their relations, which is, really powerful and helpful. And we do that. We are to do that within ourselves, within our body, within all of our relations. So not just, have that program and learn that, but then have that in your waking moment, like in your waking day. How am I coming together in this? How am I coming together in this? And the work at becoming human, okay, it's easy to just disidentify with the human and then be like, I'm only spirit. And then your human's a mass. But like, that's not what we came to do. So yes, sometimes we need space from the human aspect to really understand the soul energy and what that brings. And then we braid it back in. And that's what I feel like a lot of us are doing. Like a lot of people went really, really high and really, really sort of out of their body and really touching into that spiritual energy. And then it's like, okay, now bring all of that and incorporate it into your human.
Yeah.
And merge it all together. And then have it the most human thing, which is the gene key of the now right now. I was just looking at the chart before hopping on here.
Yeah.
And the sun is in 36, which is in Pisces. And the 36 is the key of becoming human.
Really?
It's literally called becoming human. And one of the first things that it says about the shadow of this key is the dark night of the soul. So if we're reading this as a collective chart, the sun is amplifying this energy of the dark night of the soul on humanity right now in Pisces, which is a whole 2,000-year segment that we just went through, which was all about persecution and almost like rejecting the human. There was a lot of rejection of all of the desires and things that came with being human. And it was like, let's escape being human and let's only try to be godly and let's try to cleanse the human animal out of us and let's persecute everybody who's in touch with the mother. And it's like, I'm sorry to sum it up that way. I'm sure there's a lot more beauty, but that's just what came out as I'm speaking about sort of like the dark night of the soul aspects of that energy, because there was a lot of gorgeous things that came from there as well. But now as we're on the cusp of moving into a new energy, that all of that stuff comes up for reconciliation in us.
Yeah.
As we're truly becoming human and accepting all of the things that come with that, and then bringing in nurturing all of the primal tendencies in us, bringing in the soul energy and having them really get along with one another. And it goes back to the parenting. It's like convince the one parent's like, I'm nature and I'm right. And the other one's like, I'm soul, I'm right. That's, that nature's bad, that feelings are bad and physical activities are bad. Don't do that. Don't move your hips like that. Like,
Don't move your hips like that.
Dancing leads to, don't do that. Like, all that kind of stuff. So we're moving through moving through a lot, but especially 2000 years of a lot of condemnation energies.
Yeah.
So
Judgment,
um,
condemnation.
so the energy of that key and the shadow is turbulence.
Mm.
And I wrote myself notes about this because I wanted to talk a little bit about it. So the turbulence is created by uncertainty, instability, impending doom, nervous energy, which really affects your nervous system. It's like you don't feel safe in your body, you know. So a lot of people, when they don't feel safe in their body, they want to jump out of it. They want
Yeah.
to be the eternal soul that doesn't die because they don't want to feel the finite implications in the human body. So it's easy to just be like, oh, well, I'm not the human body, so I really don't care what happens with it. You know, I'll just be the light. And that light is eternal, so I don't have to take care of my human body. I don't have to listen to it. It's hard to be human, so I'm just getting out of it. It's like, sorry, that's not what we signed up for.
Mm.
I know that may not be the message that a lot of people
No,
need to
that's
hear.
no, it's true though. It's true. And I okay, so a lot of people have talked about the body the last year and a half or year.
Yeah.
And I know my conversations with my body, in the last few weeks has been along these lines of, and it's not been easy for me. I mean, you're, this body is your soul. That's what I hear. Like, this
This,
body is your soul. Why would you
yeah.
not treat your body how you would treat your soul? And I'm like, oh shit, I got to give that up. I got to give
Body's
that up.
energy.
But it's not really having to like kick anything. It's more like, chill out. It's happening. This is why you can't eat this anymore. This is why you can't eat that much anymore. This is why you're not doing this or doing that. It's just what's happening. But yeah, that's been a big deal for me. Like, and I'm 60, and that I don't feel 60. My body feels like, and I know a lot of people can relate to this, like it's rejuvenating. But exercise, expanding the juicing I'm doing. I try to drink a lot of water. Removing a couple of bad habits. A little bit at a time, whatever. But yeah, there's something happening there, and I actually feel like one of the things that's happening in these last few weeks is, the body is getting lighter and lighter. And so when this, when let's just say when I do anything or ingest anything, like too much food or anything that makes me feel heavy, I
Mm.
feel that heaviness. And it could be, engaging, which thankfully hasn't happened in a while, engaging like an egoic, exchange, pulling. It could be me watching Ukraine and getting pulled into anything that makes my full body heavy. I start to feel sick, and
Mm-hmm.
and even when I'm feeling light, I can feel sick, but it's not the same type of
Yeah,
sick.
same.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Just because you feel nauseous is not an indication that there's something wrong.
Right.
And even just because you feel tired is not an indication that there's something wrong. Like everybody has their own barometer, and we really have to understand and know our own barometer and know our own feelings and know our own where our spirit hits the ground in our body, where that touches down in us. And um, I'm hearing make amends, which is funny. Like, amen, make amends within your body of your entire being, incorporating everything.
Yeah.
And
Make amends. Amen. There's another one. Amen.
yeah,
Amend. Amen.
I remembered kind of what the tangent that I was going on earlier about us and like um, writing your own programs
Hmm.
and picking apart words, and how like it's getting to the root of it. When I saw in the comments, like someone was talking about like knowing your history, knowing the history of language. Like, you can go into it and you can play with words in multiple different ways. You can play with them and how they feel in your body, and you can write about that. Or you can go to the origins and look at the multiple meanings.
Mm.
Or you can kind of like play with them like Play-Doh a little bit, and like pull them apart a little bit and find like the hidden sounds and
Mm.
associations within them, which like opens up everything. And it actually is like playing with roots of a tree. Like you're like pulling apart these roots that have deeper interconnected meanings. And
Mm.
when you do that, it does something inside of us because, like I was saying before, words create worlds. We're like all just made up of the energy of the word, of different words, agreements, definitions, sound harmonics, really. So as you're playing with language, it's doing something with your brain that would be almost like the equivalent of taking mushrooms, because it's
Mm.
creating these different synaptic relationships and connections within your brain. And it's hard to even explain what it's doing. But in 2019, when I met Carrie, and she's been on here before,
Yeah, we need to get her back on here.
her and I started doing, and I'd love to come on with her one day. That would
We
be
should do
really
that.
fun
We'll
to
do that.
play.
Yeah.
Her and I started to play together. We would be like, "Do you want to play today? Like have a play date. Let's play." And we're literally like Play-Doh, morphing words together, and we kind of get into this zone where all of a sudden words start doing things in us, and Source brings all these different words together, and we start. It's almost like having a rap battle, but like you're just reconfiguring words together
Really?
and meanings. And sometimes her and I, when we were doing that and bringing different words and meanings in, we would be Googling simultaneously what they mean, because sometimes words would come through in different configurations that we've never heard before. And they're literally physics words, root words of Greek origin. Like it would just take us, like, we're like, what are we doing? Like, what is this? It's a thing, this wordsmithing and this word working. So you can play with them that way. And Carrie has a blog where she writes in code with
Mm-hmm.
words, to a level that I kind of was able to do it for a little while, but this is just one of her gifts. And she'll write in a sentence while she's wordsmithing these words, and you think that you've read it, but there's literally 20 different meanings within that phrase. And if you dissect each word the way that she's has it there, it's talking about physics, it's talking about fractality, it's talking about your body, it's talking about there's a million streams in one sentence. And I do believe that the old way of parables and stories contained the essence and the technology of saying a lot of stuff in a short framework. There was a lot of hidden juices and compounding meanings all in like one place.
Yeah.
And there's a real art to working with words and definitions, and how
We're
it
gonna
affects
have
your
to get her
physical
on here.
body. Yeah.
We're
Oh
gonna have to
yeah.
get you guys on here to show us how to do this. No, that's very cool
And it is
because
in flow. It's a flow state.
yeah, I would
It's in
imagine.
total flow. Yeah.
You want to do some? Uh, what were you gonna say?
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, well, but it makes a lot of sense though, because in the Bible, there's "Let there be light," but I think one of the early verses, I'm a
Yeah.
horrible. It says, and there, what does it say? And then there
In
was
the
the Word, or
in the
something like
beginning there was the word,
the
and the word
Word.
was
Yeah.
good.
So if you look
And
at, if I come home, and we're whatever, and I come home and I walk through the door and I say, "Honey, I'm home," or I say, "I'm home."
right,
I can say I'm home, and the tonality alone changes,
conveys.
yeah, everything. So the
Yeah, it's a
words,
conveyance.
which is interesting because, uh, okay, like when you have a discussion with somebody, especially if there is any contention, uh, in other words, you and I had whatever happened, something happened, and I send you a note. I'm coming from a totally different perspective, which is the name of the game, right? And you are too. And or I'll just switch it around. You say something to me, and on a volatility scale of 1 to 10, from you, it's a 2. I see
Right,
it as a 9, right?
right.
Right. So what I'm trying to say is it's interesting what you're talking about, because there's so much lost in when we're reading somebody's words in a situation like that, and I guess otherwise. But what you're saying is you could actually look at those words, take your take your eyes off of it, so to speak, and go to the us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And look at it and see what they're really saying, or maybe, more of what they're saying, because we do lose a lot. Anyone that's had any exchange through texting or messaging versus talking, it can be a dangerous
Yes.
playground.
Yes. And in saying that, I would recommend anyone who feels called to go and watch the video that Jason Estes made on MTVO
Hmm.
about ridges.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
I'm not sure if you've seen that, but it's like it really brings to perspective when, if you see us each as our own little tree of life, our own little world, and it's like when worlds collide, when we come in with our all our branches and all our definitions and all our degrees of energy, one of us could be coming from the greatest place, but the other one isn't. And it's not the right timing for that. And when you come together, the closer you get together, you can almost see it like energy fields coming together. And if the one person's energy field's free and clear, the other one is kind of got little um, seeds in it, seeds of
Mm,
distress or seeds of stress or whatever. And when that really free energy comes in and hits those stress seeds, it goes, oh, here I am. It's like showing the other person where all these stress seeds are, and they just take that as, I don't like your vibes, but really they're vibing your stress back at you.
exactly.
Sometimes, you know, it just, whatever comes together will just like bring up, and you don't necessarily know where that feedback is coming from, which is why we do everything that we do. We do the inner work. We know thyself. We comb through our fields. This is why we're spending so much time mining ourselves for the
Yeah,
gold and we're becoming tuning forks of our own truth,
yeah,
right?
that's
And
right.
like everybody needs to do this. Everybody needs to do this in their way. Write your own program or find what resonates with you, but work on yourself in your way. Don't feel like you got to go run out and force everybody else to do that
No,
because that's your way. If you find some people that like that way, jam with them. That's your band. Cool, make music. But like this is like what I would say my job is. This is my full-time job, which is working on myself. This is
that's
the
right.
real work I came here to do. And the fact that I showed up here and there's a lot of other people that are doing that, I'm just so excited about that. And if we can jive and trade tips and techniques and build upon that together, that's great. But we can't get distracted in the excitement of that and have it stop us from doing the work. We
Yeah,
still have to keep doing that
yeah,
ourselves, which,
yeah. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. And
right, keep going
but
the
like what you said
flow.
about the ridges thing, and I've watched this in fascination for years. Given what I do, and because I study a lot of platforms, and but I remember hearing 10, 11 years ago. I remember hearing just a few basic things that I was told. Keep it simple. But one of the things I heard was the most important uh, code that you will receive is what comes out of your mouth, even if you think you're talking about somebody else. And I didn't understand this for a long time, but I've seen many, many examples of it in myself. Okay. In myself, like I might say something to Morgan, she'll, you're talking about you. I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Sometimes it's a little bit more obvious and sometimes it's not. It's always more obvious when we're reviewing or when we're observing somebody else. But I saw a really good example of this last night when I was doing some research. So there's a platform that's that's from this community, and there was somebody prominent in terms of people's awareness of them in these communities that was on the show. And this prominent, a better known person, was basically talking about all the bullshit in the truther, conspiracy, disclosure, and making all of these accusations.
Yeah,
And I'm looking at this person because I've kept tabs on this person, as part of what I do over the years. And I thought, you're talking about yourself, dude. You're not
right.
talking about these
It's all
people.
us.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, here's another, here's another stay on your toes mental note to Todd, don't get out of the lines, but yeah, I mean, and I think what you said at the beginning is really applicable, because that's really what it comes down to. We overcomplicate all this stuff with the mind, and this whole um, vernacular of heart-based words, that you're pioneering, right? But like it's just like when we look at others as ourselves, and it's not just words, it actually has a discipline, almost like a ritual, reminder. I don't know what the word is, but it's not anything you can fake. It's actually
It's been
going,
earned.
yeah. Like if you look at your parents, like I like a lot of people, I will go to my parents to check myself or to try to increase my frequency, because it's almost like a bottomless pit of a reservoir of code or missing links or whatever. But to actually go stand in someone's shoes and actually, because we can do this, right?
Hmm.
Why can we tap into these different streams of channeling, or the Akashic, one way or the other? Yeah, we don't want to take the time to tap into our antagonistic energies that are actually there to serve us. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, at some
That's where the
point,
real gold is.
exactly, at some point, you got to
Really.
say either I'm lazy or not. Either I'm lazy and I'm not doing and I'm not walking the talk that we all participate in, or I'm just full of shit. And I don't think that works. Once you wake up, you can't just poo poo it away, right? It's not
Right.
going away. It's not going to go away. One way or the other, it's coming for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys do this flowy dissection of words. We'll have to get her on here. I'll
Hmm.
get Morgan to reach out, and
Yeah.
yeah, because when I do it, it never happens.
Not everybody's ready to kind of play that way, and I could totally see someone like stepping into it and being like, what the heck is this? Like, I don't understand it at all. Like, you kind of gotta it if you gotta play. It's like getting you into that childlike flow where you're unbridled and you don't care who's watching, and you're playing, and you're letting the energy speak for itself and speak through you, the energy of life itself. um,
That's
and you were
it.
saying like the most code comes out of your own mouth. Like, if you give someone enough rope to hang themselves with, right? It's kind of like that. Like, you'll out yourself if you give someone enough space. They'll tell you all their problems. It's kind of like that bartender, or that,
Mm,
like, right? Like, everybody tells the bartender everything because they feel safe there. They're at the bar. They're like, I'm here to unload, right? So if you create that space, people will tell you who they are.
yeah.
And another thing about words and playing with words, and you can do it that way, but you can also do it with feeling and the tonacity. When our so-called people that are supposed to be our representatives are speaking, you can hear when they're saying one thing and they're going to do the opposite. You can hear when there's the dissonance there
Yeah.
in what's been spoken. We can hear it in them. We can hear it in ourselves. Like, we're just becoming really honest, true cellular reception, or receptors of
Yeah.
life, of
Yeah.
experience. And it's so funny. Like, I was thinking about it today, and I'm like, it's literally just to be like a good person. We're literally all just becoming good people. And
True.
again, that kind of a phrase or word could hang someone up, because they'd be like, I feel judged by that. And it's like, well, that's where you got to
I
work
am a
then.
good person. I am a good person.
Yeah.
And it's
And
not
by whose
about,
definition, and what does that mean? And I swear I cleaned my room. Like,
well, yeah, you can draw a lot of analogies as a kid.
oh
That's
yeah, it
that's for
all goes
damn sure.
back. All
Yeah.
goes back. All the roots lead down there. So,
Yeah. Well, I think there's this thing going on too, that you can't be in dissonance. Like, you can't.
right,
We're not able to say one thing and do another, or think one
right.
thing and say something different. It's becoming,
Harder.
and I have this conversation a lot, because I'm going with myself, because I'm going, I get the feeling that we're all going to be given enough time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so they don't worry about it, don't fret about it, don't judge. This is all my self-talk. And then it'll be like,
Relax.
make sure that your thoughts and your words and your actions align, because this is where we're going. So I have like a
Mm-hmm.
situation, like I have people ask me to do stuff for them a lot, which is okay. And I'm pretty good about, hey, I can't, I can't go there, because if I go there, then I got to go over here and do this and do that for these other people. And I want to be in integrity. And so I have a couple of friends right now that I'm trying to help,
Right.
that have moved and are trying to find a place. And we've had some, uh, higher frequency connections over the years. And so I'm watching it, and a part of me is not taking it on as my own, because it's too much. It's like that overcompensation thing.
Yeah.
And then the other part of me is going, I have to have integrity. I'm going to do what I say. And I'm doing that, right? I'm doing
Yeah.
what I'm saying. And I'm trying not to be swayed by the lack of success, right?
Right.
Like I haven't, whatever that is, I haven't figured it out, or I haven't found the solution, but I'm not going, okay, I better go over here now and overcompensate and really go out there and
Yeah.
overextend my energy. So there's something going on.
Yeah. That's
I think
massive.
that's helping people to stay in alignment. It's not such a chore as it used to be.
Yeah. Stay in alignment, stay in accountability with yourself, take responsibility for managing your own energy and your own choices. Because if we all were really managing our own energy and our own choices, every single one of us on this planet, everything would start to be a lot more manageable and a lot more. So, but because we've been delegating and giving the energy and taught to just give our energy away for someone else to do something with it and trust that it's going in the right place, we can't afford to do that anymore on an
Yeah,
individual level, and how that plays out on the macro level.
that's right. Mary Lou said, "Care but don't carry." That's a pretty good one.
Oh,
And
I
I think
love
that's
that.
the other thing that's coming in. We
Can you
don't.
just give me 1 second? I'll be right back. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So Ascension Mom. Yeah, she's cool. What was I going to say? God, I forgot. I'm still out of it today. So we're going to have an interesting show here in a couple of hours with David Maria. He was down in Africa. He got really sick. A lot of people know him. I met him in Shasta a couple of years ago. That ought to be an interesting story to hear what he's got to say. I'd like to hear more about this game that Carrie and Candice play. Sounds pretty interesting. So, all right. I'm out of my body. Is everybody are there any other people feeling totally discombobulated when you wake up? Like, does it take 30 minutes or an hour for you to come back in your body? Anyone, just put your comments up. Yeah.
I knew that tea was going to get me.
Oh, I thought you
It
had to
was
go
worth
take care
it.
of one of the kids. Okay. Yeah, no, cool.
No, just taking care of business.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. So, all right. Well, I don't know if you want to do anything before we get out of here. It's up to you. There's no pressure. No pressure at all.
Hmm. Um.
Uh,
Well, I did pull a card. Maybe I'll read it.
cool.
Yeah. I was thinking that I wanted to do something more like artistic, but no.
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't
I'll do it
know.
with you. Well, you know what? This is what I was thinking right before you left, though, and because you were hitting on it. And okay, so
Right.
I don't know. A lot of people don't know this, but like when I woke up, I was 49, and I went homeless by my own choice. A lot of people know that. And I picked up dancing. Um,
Mm.
I picked up dancing, like I started teaching myself how to dance like a few weeks before this all happened. And I had two CDs, and I would go in my courtyard, and I would stand between the light and the fence, and then I would look at my shadow, and I would basically, that's how I taught myself how to dance. Now, these two CDs were Big Boy from Outkast and Kid Cudi, right? So I learned every song. So the reason I'm saying this is because I've said this many times, like during those first 7 months that I was on the streets, this absolutely kept me alive. I would dance in the clubs. A lot of
Mm.
them were underground clubs, some of the black clubs in Houston, underground parties. I hadn't really been connected to contemporary music for a while, so I didn't know anything about electronic music or
Yeah.
trance. You were saying a
Yeah.
minute ago about, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, like what is that? You have to like feel into it to actually
Hmm.
receive it. And so anyway, what I was getting at, and in terms of what you're talking about, we don't have to do anything, but this is where I'm at. So when I would go do this, and I was in a club, I got to be very good at it. But I only knew that because people, the DJs would say, "Hey, we're going to play. I want you to come," and people would film me, and different things like that. So I did. I was aware of it, but when I was doing it, I wasn't aware of anything. And I was really, it was a remarkable thing because I was looking at myself in this deep trauma, dark night of the soul, homeless, all that stuff. Yet there was a part of me that was expanding in a most incredible way, never happened before. And what I finally realized was that when I was on the floor, I didn't give a shit. I didn't care who was watching. It wasn't even in my field. And I remember these four, I was in a black club, and I remember these four, they were gangbangers. There was gangs there because the DJ was like, don't put up the gang signs or we're shutting the club down. Like he stopped the music. So I didn't know this. So these four guys walk up to me. I was outside having a cigarette, and this guy walks up to me and says, "Me and my friends, we think you dance like you don't give a fuck." And I'm like, I don't. I wasn't trying to be a tough guy. I was just like, I'm just here by myself. I don't talk to anybody. I don't dance with anybody. I didn't go into my story, all the traumas. I just said I don't care. And so anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is because as I've been playing with the music, my words, freestyling, and my voice, be it rapping, singing, which is like total fear, right? And whatever I'm doing, I'm starting to realize as I watch the videos of myself that it's when I don't give a shit that it comes out. It's
Mm.
when I just let the voice go that I can't tell you if it sounds good, but I can tell you it feels good. And
Right.
I know I'm not the best dancer in the world. I'm okay. But it's not the dance moves that I was connecting with or that people were responding to.
Yeah.
It was the energy, that wide open energy of the soul.
Liberation.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was getting at the beginning, and like what you're talking about now, like the reservation you have, we all have it, but like what you and Carrie do, like that's what I feel. I feel like it's just letting it go, and you don't give a shit. Similar to light language, I think for some people.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, light language has been that piece where they go, you know what, I don't want to do this. I'm just going to put it out, and I'm just
Yeah.
going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's whatever you call that is what I'm looking for, in everything, and really in everything. It's just to be,
Hmm.
just to let it go, man, just to
Free and
go.
clear.
Yeah,
Free and clear creation,
yeah,
beyond judgment. And it's funny that judgment's been such like a thing that we've had this like love affair with in the last 2000 years. Like, do not judge, and like judging, and like I'm judging you, judging while like it's just this like judging thing. But it's like the truth is that God has never been judging us. It's
no,
been us. It's like been us judging ourselves, and like and misunderstanding our relationship with God in us experiencing life as human, and the permission that was given in that, and then feeling like we didn't maybe take advantage properly of the gift that we were given as life. Like there's just like these like that game of telephone, like the mistranslations of like just misunderstanding, and it's up to us to release that judgment against ourselves. It's up to humanity to release that judgment against itself.
yeah, yeah,
As human has recognized itself like as connected to all things, as connected to spirit, maybe humanity felt shameful in some of the creations that it had expressed and judged itself as not
Yeah,
worthy, but it has always been worthy there because it is. You wouldn't be if you weren't given permission to be.
that's
There
right.
you are. And what are you going to do with that gift of your life? So one of the greatest things that we can do to honor that which hath created us is to be that unbridled freedom and that unbridled permission, and let that light loose in our body, and let there be light. If you're getting funky, you're getting down, or you're like
Yeah,
whatever you're feeling,
freaky, getting
getting
freaky.
freaky with
No,
it.
we have to be careful with that one. No, but no, you're right. Because judgment is like the root, or I say the root is a root attribute of narcissism. You
Mm,
can't even begin to go into narcissism if you're not judging. It's all about judging. And I love what you said, because this is a narcissistic realm, or at least the false matrix, right? I mean, it's
mhm,
based on that. And so I love what you said, because the fact is, even when we're being judged, now we're coming out of it, we're starting to get the hang of this, but I mean, in the past, when we're being judged, what do? We immediately go right into judgment.
mhm.
You're right. So it
And
becomes
blame and
it becomes you know, you're this and I'm not, when the reality is we both are.
yeah.
But
Oh man.
we're getting out of it. We're getting out of
Oh
it.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, we are. And just the more of us that takes root in ourself, and lets that liberation happen, the more we're going to see that trickle out into our reality. And let's just keep doing it, and not competing with each other. It's not like I became more liberated than you, look at my program, my program's the most liberating program. It's like, no guys, we are literally doing this together, all of us.
Well, that
Us.
lost video I did with Franco on September 12th last year. I'm going to release it this weekend. But he talks about
Awesome.
it's interesting because, well, first of all, it's interesting because it's not like the shows we did. It's actually a conversation, and I would say he came on the show to do the majority of the speaking. Don't get me wrong, but in this conversation, it's like 50-50.
Hmm.
And it's not that Franco wasn't human, because we know, but what he says in there, and he says it, I almost got it verbatim. He says at one point, well, what he's saying is it's all about being human. And he says in the video, he says, even for me, because I had that whole ET thing going. That's what he says in the video. And I'm like, oh my God, that's good.
Even and especially for him.
Yeah.
When I was really in touch with the energies of Franco for like this strong period of time,
Yeah.
the energy that was coming was like, really learn from, like, I want to say his resistance to being human, but like
Yeah.
it's like he almost like overlooked something about it, and then
Yeah.
when he started to realize just
Yeah.
like the magnificence of it, like it was just like stunning to him. Like he's like, wait a second, oh my goodness, like all along it was like right here in the matter.
It's true though. I mean, you got to remember, this would have been in 2019, and I was in Hawaii, and that's the first time I met him. Right, TL Guadalupe, she arranged it because she knew him very well, and I didn't know who he was. And so Morgan starts telling me that several years before, he would send her his stuff, like a lot of people did, when we were trying to get started. So that's all I knew about him. But I knew when we had the talk, the first talk, I knew that this is like, oh wow, I can plow into this for an infinite period of time. He's got so much going on here, especially when I figured out that there was a lot of stuff that he had not been sharing publicly because he felt like people weren't ready. And I told him, well, we're ready, so that's where it all
Yeah.
started. But what I was getting at, if you look at what he was personifying, his heart always came through. Don't get me wrong, but
Absolutely.
it was the it was the multidimensional aspects that were more prominent. And
Hmm.
then as time went on, and he heard me say the human is the hero enough, and just through our exchanges,
Yeah. The
it just,
integration was happening.
yeah. And so he became more and more human. And you're right, because when we were in Sedona, and I stayed, Kimberly and him stayed with me for 2 days after the Soulogy Fest. Um, man, I'm telling you, even this video that I'm going to release, which would have been what? It would have been 6 weeks before he transitioned. It would have been roughly 2 weeks before he got sick, and I got sick the same day, and you know that because you were around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you look at him in this video, I've never seen him look better. He looks
Yeah.
unbelievable. He looks, and I don't just mean physically. I mean his aura, his everything. And so when I was talking to her the other night, and I asked about it because she said she was going, I couldn't find it. I said, "Well, go here, go here, go here." She found it. So I'm
Good.
excited to. I'm going to put it out as a live. I think, maybe do something creative with it.
When that merge happens, like when that deeper merge happens with the soul essence and your body, and like you literally fall in love with yourself, and
Yeah.
it is like when you were saying narcissist, that narcissistic energy and like the narcissistic system, really. And it reminds me, if anyone's a gene key person, it's like the gene key, the final gene key, the final like trial of the human is the 12th key, which is vanity,
Yeah.
which is like feeling bad for loving yourself, and like it gets this vain selfishness that people, and it's like, oh, I can't love myself too much, or I'm gonna like be vain, I'm gonna fall into that, and like the answer to that, and the narcissist and all that, and I'm so special, is like really letting that light come into your body and really so deeply falling in love and rising in love and accepting, like it's just an acceptance. It's like I'm coming in, I'm coming down,
Yeah.
I accept. And it is a marriage, it's a merge and a marriage, and it's like okay, I'm here, and it's just like okay, now what? But still, right? Now go and make stuff, and still, yes, chop wood, carry water, right? Like you're still here, your shit still stinks,
Yeah.
but you accept it all. And
Yeah.
that acceptance is so freaking beautiful and like insatiable when you come into someone who's embodied that level of the love that they are in their
Yeah.
human body,
Yeah.
and the confidence, like it feels confident, which reminds me of you dancing, and those guys coming up to you being like, oh, you think you're, they think you're being arrogant, and that's almost like a male challenge, like
Yeah.
how come you're so free? But it's like that freedom is, it's like you're not proving anything, it's
Mm-mm.
proving itself. It's like this
Yeah.
is
You're
what I
just
do,
doing
this
your
is who I
thing.
am.
Yeah, you're just doing your thing, and it's true too because I mean that's just not because it's me. I'm just saying think about the power of what you're saying. Here's a person, it didn't matter who it was, who's homeless at 49, 50 years
Wow,
old,
yeah, who has
and
that?
literally has nowhere to go when he leaves the club at 2 o'clock,
Yeah,
and yet he's got this thing
this
going,
thing
and
that,
maybe it's not all day long every day,
no, but
but
you
there's
channeled
some.
it in that
Yeah,
moment,
that's
and
right.
you
That's right.
not no money can buy that. You
Mm-mm.
got people that have so much money and they're like trying to pay all the right coaches to coach them into being this. But
Yeah.
like, and you don't have to have $1 million. You don't have to have a brilliant mind.
Yeah.
What I'm always told it within myself is like it can be taught to a child. This gift that has this potency, this ultimate truth, is in the ultimate simplicity that can be given and known by a child. Like God would not limit. It's not like you have to have this degree or that. There's no stipulations. It's
Mm-mm.
it's if you'll accept. It's that willingness. It's
Yeah.
that allowance in yourself to have that alchemy, that touch down in you, and accept it without resistance. And I
Yeah.
feel like we were witnessing that really majorly with Franco in his last moments here. I feel like there was that like massive touching down within his being, and it was like shining through him, and it's like you look like the most health, you are the picture of health, because that radiance was just shining through him, like he was becoming more transparent, and being that lighthouse in the flesh. And that's what happens when that light touches down in you. You literally do glow. Like people just glow. It glows through them, and people are drawn to that because they're like, I know that. What is that? There's something familiar in you. I want that. I know, and that deeply they know that that's what they are.
That's
And
right.
they just crave that transition, that transformation, but nobody can accept it except them. And that's the me. You know, no one can come through it except through me, the ultimate merge.
That's right.
Matter and energy. Matter and energy. Matter and essence. Me.
Yeah, and yeah, I got a good takeaway talking to you today too, because I'm sitting here going, "Wow, there's a really fine line between loving yourself and being a narcissist." And I don't
Yeah.
have any problem claiming that I'm anything and everything, including a narcissist or having narcissistic
We
frequencies or
all
being
have it in us.
exactly. But the line between loving yourself, which is what we're really here to do, expand how we feel about ourselves, because that extrapolates into our externalities, and being too far over, which
Mm-hmm.
is where and as I'm listening to you, I'm remembering like in fifth grade, sixth grade, you know, uh, I got my parents, like a lot of us, split up, and then I ended up relocating. I'm with one of my parents. I go to school. I'm in sixth grade, so I'm just getting my identity right. I got hair down on my shoulders and going to school with a bunch of rednecks, and I was finding my way. You know,
Yeah.
so we had the school pictures, and you get the 8.5 by 11. I put one in my room on the desk. I had a picture of myself. I didn't think
That's
anything about
beautiful.
it until my friends started coming over. Oh, you got a picture of yourself? But I think back to those times, and I actually got reminded of this because of my youngest kid, because she's very similar to me. She has uh, that same romance with herself.
It's
She
beautiful.
she's not, you know what I mean? She's not a narcissist. And I say that
Oh.
because she stays on top of her tendencies. She
Mm-hmm.
learned that she manipulated. She learned that she
Mm-hmm.
did it, and so she corrects and moves on, like we all
Yeah.
do. Like these kids are amazing, but yeah, there's it's okay. And I have to say, and I know this can't just be me, but man, over the last few, I don't know, months, weeks, I love myself. I mean, I don't have a problem at all. I love myself.
Mm-hmm.
Period. I don't have a problem telling that to anybody. I come first.
Well, it's funny. It's like I love myself and like I am love itself. I
True.
love myself. I am love
True.
itself.
True.
So you don't even have to have the I love myself anymore. It's like I am love itself. And um and I'm only saying that because it's like these degrees of separation as we're coming home,
Yeah.
right? These
True.
just degrees of separation in our realization. And it's not really separation. Again, it's the landing. It's the plane coming down and touching down and how deep it's going in you. And the I am love itself is like it removes the narcissist. It puts the narcissist in balance. There's
Yeah.
nothing to prove. You're
That's
not
right.
like,
That's right.
you know, you're not a showman, but you like there is the show in the man. Like it's showing through the
Yeah.
man. Like it seems like a show. It seems like a performance. And but it's like I don't know. It's the birds singing outside. It's the
Yeah.
birds singing outside, and they get up and they sing. Or
Yeah.
they're not putting on a show for anyone. That they are that.
That's right.
That's what it is. So you don't have to
That's
feel
right.
bad about being what you are, and that's the disjointed discombobulation that we've all experienced and not being able to touch down in our human bodies here. And everyone's like, don't relax, no, relax into it. And like, we're here to each be that way in our own body, in our own unique way, because we're going to be attractive. Like, you're going to draw in people that I'm not going to draw in. You're going to show them through you in ways that I can't do it, because someone might be drawn to something in you that reminds them of themselves, right? So we need ambassadors of this and people who are willing to get really comfortable with themselves in that way all over the place. We need everyone to do that. And
I
then
agree. I
once that
agree.
happens, then we're in a new level of creation, and
Yeah.
we are love itself, have experiencing life itself, creating on that level, and we're not in resistance to anything anymore.
I
And
agree.
I feel like that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing here.
I think so, and I think
Everything.
I really feel like I'm with you. I feel like that we're what we're feeling now that we thought was a revelation or an epiphany or a channeling or some incredible
Some other.
you know uh it's we're actually we're feeling the alignment, like what you said. Like you don't have to worry about the I say that, but I mean it's taking
Yeah.
care of itself.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
only thing that like stands in the way is that that's not actually happening to me, or I'm not that, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not valuable, or whatever the case is. But well, I think we're actually feeling the alignment. And I have to, and this has gotten easier for me because it used to be I'd get a download. I go, oh, I got to go start this network now. Like now I'd let it go. I surrendered. Now it comes back and goes, we're still doing this, but we're
Yeah.
going to do this in flow and in alignment. So we all have those types of things in our lives. And so I'm not running and going, oh, I'm ascended
You're
today.
relaxing into it.
Yeah, you just let it
Yeah.
go. And
You're in flow.
I think this is why we were discussing what we were discussing, because I really feel like more and more people are picking up that camera or whatever it is, the pen, whatever it is, the paintbrush, and they're expressing themselves, and they're not looking back, or they're looking back less and less. And real quick, I have this one contemporary I've known for a long time. I help. Someone asked me, "Hey, I want to do a podcast or whatever." I try to help everybody, and so they don't have to develop all the scar tissue I did. This person, I did the same thing, and they didn't listen, which is fine, and I tried to help them a little bit. Now, what I noticed was after they tried it, and like we often do, we want it, especially in this day and age, we expect it to be immediate. And I tell them it's going to take a while. It's going to take
Mhm.
6 months. It's going to take 9 months. There's a reason I put up 30, 40 posts a day in Soulogy, because it keeps everything going, right? It's
Yeah.
just but what I noticed was they, like a lot of us, they take off, they go like that, right?
Yeah.
They go, boom. But what I noticed was it was some resiliency.
Mhm.
I noticed this person starts doing videos. And I just had to see, well, what does this look like? What does this energy look like? I turned on two. I think they've done a few. I turned on, and what I saw, I can't even tell you what they were talking about. But what I saw was that soul had said, F it,
Yeah.
F
Let's just
Todd,
get
F
it moving.
whatever. I'm gonna get out here. I'm gonna walk on this plank. The
That's
plank,
awesome.
the plank, the one that doesn't have any steps in front of you, that only appear once you take the
Exactly.
step.
Yep.
And I saw that and I thought, wow,
The pathless
that's
path.
yeah, that's a powerful thing, though, to see
It's
somebody say,
beautiful.
you know what, I'm doing this. And the thing was, I could see the love they had for themselves.
Mhm.
And that was incredible. And I think we're going to see more and more of that. So
So excited to see that. And
I'm going to put together this.
yeah.
I have this new software, right? So
Okay.
I can do everything I can do, like I do with the remixes, where I can turn on music, and I can work with the music, rap, whatever. I can play videos, but the difference is I can bring in up to 4 people on screen, like just like this. So imagine having
Cool.
this with a broadcast software and having like an open mic, you know, like
That's
just
awesome.
just like doing what you and Carrie do, and just like I don't know exactly what that looks like. It's just something I want to pursue, and I've been wanting to pursue for a long time. But I really feel like that spontaneous thing is the big difference. Because when you're
Mhm.
spontaneous, you don't have time to think about, is this all right? you know,
Yeah.
does my hair look good?
Yeah.
Whatever.
You're in that thing called the vortex that, people call it. I call it the axis point.
Yeah.
I see it as
Yeah.
the axis and the access point of like your ultimate creative potential. And you're in that, and you're out of the mind, and you're in that creative potential, and that center drives it. And then it funnels through the mind, right? The mind's a
Mhm.
tool, but it's not the guide any longer.
Right. Right.
And that's everything, right? That's where we want to live from all the time.
Yeah.
And it's going to take us some time switching over into that way of being in this reality structure, but we just have to keep practicing it. We have to keep practicing it. And that practice is going to make perfect the pathway of accessibility in the human en masse for all. We're literally setting the groundwork in the human framework for this.
I like
We're
it.
the architects. We're techies, but
I like that. I saw
yeah.
a meme this morning. It was either Charlie Parker or Thelonious Monk, and it was theory is great, but without practice, theory is nothing.
Right?
So
What's
so
the
really,
practical application?
yeah. So it's just actually the practice is just trying it. Like you try, you just give it a shot.
Always. The
You know?
whole life is the practice.
Yeah.
Like when, I don't know, doctors, when they open up a practice, they're practicing on
Yeah.
you constantly. Everyone that walks in the door is part of the practice. Everything we do is part of the practice. You're never done. If you were done, you wouldn't be
It's
here.
a good thing to remember.
And,
It's a good thing to
once
remember.
one
That's
human does it, right? Once one human breaks that record, now they've made that benchmark accessible
mhm,
for all, right?
that's right.
So
That's
we're
right.
doing that, all of us, tons of us. Look at how many are doing that work in the human. It's like, that's what gets me just, I geek out on
Mm.
that.
Hey, it was good seeing you.
It was so nice to see you.
I enjoy getting together with you, and thank you for putting up with me for an hour and a half this morning and
This was
showing
very
up.
enjoyable.
I know you picked up on the fact that this might not go down,
I did. I'm like,
but
we might be both out. Like,
yeah,
we
but it's
made
all
it. We
right.
showed up, right? We showed up.
Yeah,
And good things happened, I think.
yeah. Okay. You take care. All blessings to you and your family, and we'll get Carrie on here. You and Carrie on
Yeah.
here.